Hey Clinkers, this is Doogie.
This is Ia, and you're listening to Girl Cheers. Girl Cheers is about sharing our experiences as Hmong female millennials and building relationships among the larger community.
In this episode, we'll be sharing with you about how we got started with this podcast. We'll be sharing post-grad survival stories, our career journey, and of course, the pandemic. So grab your drink and stay tuned because you're in for a ride.
Every episode, we will be enjoying a brand of alcohol and give you our thoughts. We love the company of a good glass. This is the perfect time for you to go grab a cold one and drink responsibly with us. Welcome to Girl Cheers. We are having the classic mimosa today. So I mixed 1/3 of OJ with 2/3 of champagne. So Doogie, since you kind of started enjoying the drink already, go ahead and tell us, how is it?
Very citrusy. I taste more orange than champagne. Is that how you like it?
No, I like it a little bit more on the drier, more champagne-y side. So
pour more champagne.
Oh, okay. All right. I think we're going to get started. So I want to ask you, Doogie, too, and I will chime in whenever I will. How did we started the idea of this podcast?
Well, I am usually the one in this relationship where I go to Ia and I'm just like, yeah, got crazy idea. Let's do this. And this is what happened with the podcast. And we planned and didn't execute.
Yeah, so I did remember you asking me that too, and I was down for it because at that time, I was in my first career job. First career job is an elementary school teacher. And so before I did that, I had a whole year, a gap year after college because I wanted to slow down for a little bit, kind of really build my skills in the classroom first. So I took a part-time job as a child sitter for preschool. And because I have a lot of time too, I didn't just sit around. I actually did a lot of, our fashion research, which again was your idea. We'll get to that probably in another episode.
What's up with me? What's up with all these ideas?
These are not big ideas. And I'm always supportive. Anyways, so we have that research, and I was asked by the UC Davis Hmong Club, I think the cultural coordinator, for me to present the fashion research that we did in UC Davis. And so I was like,
oh.
Yeah, so I was like, for sure, I'm willing to help out. And so I realized, I didn't want just to talk and lecture. That's so boring. I want to show it in such an exciting and engaging way. And so I'm like, let's make a video. And so,
that's when that video came out.
Yes, so
that's what inspired it.
If you haven't seen it, it actually went viral. My first viral video, and it's called The Evolution of Hmong Fashion. You can look it up on Facebook and also on YouTube too. Which started the inception of my own page called Hmong is I, and I enjoyed it that year. I did a lot of researching, a lot of video editing. I loved learning about Hmong fashion and culture. I loved the production from start to end. And also that year, I started lifting weights and I started to form my body and I started seeing such good changes. My mind was just it was just aligned to my core values.
Damn, yeah.
I was rocking it that gap year. But then I was like, time to be a big girl. I went back to school, got me a job, and that was the year I was just like, damn, they trapped me very, very good.
With your job?
Yeah, the society trapped me pretty good. I was just like, well, I really miss doing all my research, video, but
all of our passion projects.
Yeah, I have so much passion projects, and I can't find the mental capacity, the time to even do it. And when you brought that idea up, I was so happy because, well, I have someone to go along with me in a project. I'm just not alone. So maybe you should talk a little bit more about, that post-grad and how you got to the idea of a podcast.
So when I wanted to do a podcast, I was in a moment in my life where I was alone a lot of the time. I was very broke. I had a part-time job for half the year, and then the other half the year I was offered a full-time job somewhere in SF, and then all of a sudden they're like, budget cuts, we're not going to hire you. And so now I'm out of a job. I don't have a job anymore. I don't even have my part-time job anymore because I quit. So instead of going back to my part-time job, I decided to start driving for DoorDash, and during that time I had a lot of time to myself, so I started listening to podcasts. And I just picked up so many skills, so many things from listening to podcasts that I just thought it would be really fun if I do it too, because obviously I don't have anything else to do with my time. I was driving around, and I've always imagined doing podcasting as a fun way to express myself, my creativity, and what other way to do it than to share this experience with a friend that I always have great conversations with. And that's why I reached out to Ia. How should I put it? Well, we didn't start immediately because I started competing. I competed in a pageant, and that took a lot of my time. I surprisingly won the pageant, and when I finally approached Ia about the podcast, that was a year later, and then we planned so much.
We did.
We wrote our mission, our vision,
our intent.
Exactly.
We got our topics
we
down.
even picked up our song, and I was just like, wow.
We got 20 topics, 20 episodes, and we're saying, oh, this is going to be our pilot season.
Yeah.
20 episodes.
But then shortly after the pandemic hit.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what happened.
And you remember when we actually started doing a lot of research of how to put your podcast out there into host sites, and we didn't have the materials, the tech tools to do it, and so we asked our friends around us, and so I asked a buddy Zach, and you asked
his name is Lautoa. I don't know his American name. But he gave me a microphone. Obviously, I did not know how to use it.
Same. Zach gave me a microphone, too. And
shout out to Zach and Lauto, who did try to help us.
Thank you. And then it turns out we need another device.
What was it called? A mixer?
A mixer. Yeah.
Well, we went the simple route this time.
Yeah. I think we overcomplicated the first time. We had to run to Best Buy to go get like an adapter. We came back, and then the clamp wasn't clamping well. It's falling apart.
Yeah.
But we did record our first episode, though.
And then we went back to listen to it, and we're just like, what did we just do, Ia?
And we had our first alcoholic drink.
We did.
You bought it. You sponsored it.
No, I thought it was you.
No, that was you. It was the Ménage à Trois.
The gold Menagerie.
If we butchered it, sorry, French people.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, but I think after that we just kind of stopped, and then the pandemic hit, and that made it even harder. Because we couldn't meet each other, and if we were done, we couldn't really return our materials back because everyone was quarantining at home, stay-at-home orders. And guess what? 2 years later, and SpongeBob voice 2 years later. 2 years later, you guys. And that basically brings us to the next question is, how did we got restarted again after 2 years?
Life changes.
Oh yeah,
major.
We have Duji and I had a lot of big life events, and who's gonna go first?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Okay, rock, paper, scissors. We both did rocks. Rock, paper, scissors. Scissors. Okay, rock, paper, scissors. Okay.
I'm going first because I won, or you going first because you lost?
You go first because you did rock. I did scissors.
This is why we are doing a podcast together. Who the heck does rock, paper, scissors?
Ian Ducci does.
Okay, so major life changes of why we decided to pick up this podcast again. For me, it was a lot of mental health. It led to, my relationship of 3 years ending and me. Oh my God, yeah, I'm gonna cry.
Oh, there.
It led to me also resigning from my current position. Well, not current anymore. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and then I also had moved out from where I was living. I was just debating on where I was going to go next. And then life also happened with Ia, and I'll let her explain that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I didn't expect, that you're so vulnerable. I respect that already too. You've been through a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
That means a lot.
Yeah. But I think, and for me, I think in college, I decided that, I'm going to be a teacher. And then I wanted to be a teacher because I thought that was one of the best way to inspire Hmong kids to have an interest again of learning about their identity, about their Hmong history and language. And so I went straight into teaching, but I think when I went to the teaching program, it wasn't as how I expected, but I still kept going. And when I applied for my first job, I got it, and it was time for me to accept it or decline. I remember writing in my journal, in which I was decluttering the other day. I found it, and I wrote down in my journal saying, in my gut, it's saying to me that teaching is not 100% for me. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I wanted to do something else. Mm-hmm. But then I felt like I was so trapped. I don't know what to do. One is the secure route where you have a job, you're going to have money as security. One is the other where you explore what you want to do, but you don't know what's going to bring back to you besides the joy and passion. And one of, let's say, a companion, she said, well, just try it out. Just try teaching out. You're going to learn no matter what. You're a dedicated person. So I thought, okay, give it a try. Gave it a try. And every year during Christmas, and then it starts to intensify towards the end of the year. Every year, it's always like this. During Christmas, I have a big urge of just sadness, of just wondering, like, why am I in this position? Why I'm not fully happy? Why am feel like I'm yearning for something different than what I'm doing here as a teacher? Yes, I'm so happy that I get to teach these kids, and I see their bright lights turn on, but I'm not doing some things that I truly want to do. Mm-hmm. And second year, same thing. And I was in freaking distance learning. And third year, my second year, I put in my letter of resignation, but it was over that time, the grace period where I can't retract anymore, so I have to re-interview to get back again, which I got my position back, but I went that third year, and again, boom, hit the Christmas break, that feeling started again, mm-hmm. and this time I noticed that my third year, it intensified even more, mm-hmm. and I was just like, my mental space was just like, I'm out of here already. I need to do something different. Yeah. And I think I'm at a point where, like, I'm ready to grow somewhere else, and I understood that. But then I thought about, hey, let's do another year so I can upscale, for that financial security. I tried to do another year, and I think that that summer I was just hit with a lot. Mm-hmm. Maybe I can go in more details in other episodes, but
So picking back up from your life change and going to me, I think we just happen to have two very big life changes in our life. And it made me realize that I need to go back to doing passion projects, doing the things I love. And when it happened to Ia, it was just like perfect timing, Ia.
Yeah. In a nutshell, I had I guess an anxiety attack at my workplace, and that's when I knew I gotta get out, and I resigned. And when we started conversing about, like, hey, podcast, and they were like,
let me just say that when we first planned our podcast, we were so excited. We told so many people.
yeah.
So embarrassing.
And they've been asking us, hey, are you guys gonna do the podcast? Like,
Exactly.
no.
For 2 years straight, people have been asking me, where's your podcast? When's your podcast coming out? And I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And so that's why I brought it up, because I think a few of our colleagues and friends were really excited for this podcast with us. So I was just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm still passionate about this podcast. Let's do it.
Yeah, and I'm down for it too. Let's clank for that.
Cheers.
Cheers. So, how do we get our name?
How do we get the name to this podcast?
Mm-hmm.
Because when I think about our name, I think of it as I'm sharing a conversation with girlfriend or just with a really close friends. And the reason why it's girl is because that's my vocabulary. Like, I say that a lot. And I resonate with that word. And what else? So when I say girl, cheers, it's more like we just had such a great conversation.
I remember I was looking through our old documents on some possible titles, and I wrote down like Roaring 20s, because we're in our 20s. And youth, me and youth, like our youth. And you're just like, no, I don't like the 20s.
Boring.
Yeah. And then we got down to, well, we like drinking. I mean, we enjoy.
And that's when we have our most, well, not all the time, but that's when we have some very deep conversations too.
Yeah, we have deep conversations. We have funny conversations. We enjoy each other the most. It seems we're a little bit of both. Not to say that we don't enjoy each other when we're sober, but when you have a little bit of kick, damn.
And Ia and I have really great conversations, and I just think it's finally time for people to hear.
Yeah.
Share it.
There are so many times where we're talking, like, and I stop and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is perfect for the podcast.
I was like, Ia, write this down.
Yeah.
Write this down or I'm going to forget it.
Which I did not do. Yeah, and so we thought about cheers and adding with girl because of how you like to address, right? For just empowering people. And so we got girl, cheers. And so I think that resonated with us back then, and it still resonates with us now too. It's a name for, uplifting one another. It's a name to celebrate your struggles and your wins. And so...
Wow, yeah, you're so articulate. I couldn't even say that.
Maybe when you're a little bit buzzed, then these, sophisticated words just pops up.
What is it that we really hope this podcast, now that we're bringing it back, to have an effect on the community? Because we're not just doing this for us. We are doing this for everyone as well.
I'm going to answer-ish that question because this podcast, of course, it's for, y'all listeners out there. Woot woot. But I think first, it's also for me. It's for me first too, like for me to practice speaking. It's for me to practice editing. I love that piece. And promoting, marketing, and also basically sales. All that's good stuff. I'm upskilling right now. But I think for the community wise, I think I've just been really close. Like, I have my own community already built already. I'm just so reliant on them. But I would like to see, okay, what about the broader? Just what's beyond the horizon? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you?
Well, for me, I would say that, I hope people who listen to this podcast find friendship in us. Mm. I want Ia and I to have real conversations to where people can relate to. Mm-hmm. And that whenever you come back and listen to this podcast, you can have a laugh.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Definitely. I agree with that too. What about this? Who is Ia and Doogie right now? Who are we after these 2 years? After all those big life events, crying, the resignation, panic attacks, who are we right now?
Let me just say, we gotta drink up before we answer this question.
Everyone, girl, cheers. Okay, so I think education is one aspect that I feel that we talk a lot about, and I feel like it's an aspect that in society people are like, oh, you should go to school. And then now going to school, college, and also a little bit of the teacher credential program, I thought about it too. There were times where I should go back to get my master's program, but at this point in my life, I decided I'm not gonna go. I just feel like I want to, again, explore my passion projects, mm-hmm. which doesn't require another degree, mm-hmm. and which requires me not paying anyone else besides the stuff that I want. And so, but if I were to ever go back to school, I've thought about maybe going for linguistic anthropology. Mm-hmm. What about you?
For me, who is Doogie now? Doogie is on a self-discovery journey, and when I say that, I really just meant that, in the last 3 years, including the pandemic and some of my mental health journey I've gone through, I've lost myself along the way, and I'm still searching for that Doogie who used to go up to Ia and be like, Ia, I got a crazy idea, let's do this. Honestly, that person is a little lost somewhere, and I'm still looking for her, finding her one day at a time. Mm-hmm. I was pursuing fashion when I moved to San Francisco. That was the job offer that was offered to me, and then got taken away. And then I did find my big girl job with a chef apparel company after that, but then I only worked there for about a year or so, and then the pandemic happened. And so now I'm at a point in my life where I'm just like, I did the fashion thing. I kind of got my worth from it. I got the experience from it. I'm ready to move on to other things. And I've always known that I didn't want to work in industry for more than 3 years. Mm-hmm. I just know that it's a really draining position as well. Mm-hmm. So I decided that with the pandemic, everything, it was a perfect opportunity for me to shift focus.
Were you trying to merge switch and shift together?
Yes.
Swift. Hashtag Swift.
I decided to come back to Sacramento, where home base is. Mm-hmm. And I worked as a social worker for a nonprofit for a bit. I don't want to go into too much details about that job right now. Mm-hmm. It's just, let's just say there were good days and there were really bad days. And
I can relate to that.
Mm-hmm. Social work, mm-hmm. Teaching.
It's a caring job. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And it's not that we don't love what we do. We really do. If we didn't love it, we wouldn't be in it in the first place. Mm-hmm. It's just at the end of the day, I realized that I need to love myself more. Mm. So now I'm back in my hometown, and I've decided that I'm no longer pursuing fashion. I'm no longer going to continue working for nonprofits just because it's a lot of heart you have to have and a lot of, yeah.
So right now your heart is with Doogie.
Yes, right now my heart is with Doogie, and Doogie says, "Girl, you've been broke since like post-grad life. Come on, how have you been doing life?" So,
I mean, you're still here.
some days I saw this. I'm broke, but I go around as if I'm broke-K.
Oh.
Have you heard that?
Oh no, it's my first time.
Oh, never mind. No, I was broke, but then I somehow managed to really just get through all the time. Most of the time, I didn't have tens of thousands of dollars of savings. I didn't have a job that was paying me $50K. Like, that's average salary right there. And I never had a job that paid me $50K. So it just brought me to a point where I'm just like, why am I struggling so much? Why am I giving so much and I'm not getting paid enough? And now I'm at a point where it's like, finances didn't matter in the past for that Doogie, but this Doogie needs this now. And so I'm in a moment in my life where I need to find financial freedom. Yeah. So mental health, love Doogie, find financial freedom. And also, I guess, settle down. Sacramento, home base.
I know, you've been talking a lot about Sacramento. 916 Love. Wow. Yeah, so for me, I've been in a pretty committed relationship for the past 8 years. And happy to say, last year, I got engaged right around September. I know.
Girl, cheers.
So, we are thinking about doing our Hmong wedding next year, 2023, hopefully in March or so. And then we wanted to do an American wedding. At first, I was really hesitant because, damn it, it's expensive.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So I'm like, I'd rather use that money for a honeymoon or for home. But I was like, it's for the memories, and I'm pretty sure families might just want to get dressed up and have fun and drink together. So go for it, American wedding. But besides that, I think now that I have more time on my hand, I really do want to do more self-exploration, because you talk a lot about find that Doogie, that spark. And I remember we had this conversation too, like 2 years ago, where like I feel like I lost my spark too.
Wow.
Yeah, I lost my spark. I lost my spunk. I lost that Ia that I remembered. And now I'm trying to re-explore again. It won't be the same Ia 2 years ago, but I will find that spunkiness out of me again. I know I will still have it. And that means doing a lot of passion projects. I'm planning on continue my Hmong is I, finally picking that up.
Woo, woo.
I know.
Girl,
cheers. Oh my God. I'm picking up digital drawing because I've always wanted to create coloring and activity books. And now I'm really, really big now on mindfulness too. So I'm thinking about creating some sort of self-affirmation audio and Hmong instead. And so I'm really excited to start all of these stuff and explore who I am right now. And okay.
What?
You know how there's like 99 problems, right?
And you ain't one of them?
Yep. One of those 99 problems I have is attachment issue.
Okay, go on.
So attachment issue is, from what I know, is you always rely on the presence of someone to do something or to be somewhere, right? I have that issue. Now, it's not big, but I know it is an issue where it's not a long... Ooh, excuse me.
We just got our first burp.
Maybe, okay.
It's okay. I will be burping in your show, too. I hope you guys don't mind.
I'm pretty sure they're burping at home, too. We just didn't hear. But I wanted to do another solo trip. I've done one 3 years ago, but I noticed myself like finding myself so sad in that void and that silence all by myself because I want to share that moment with someone.
Aww.
Yeah, but then I gotta tell myself but that's stopping me though from doing another solo trip.
The loneliness?
The loneliness of wanting to share that moment with someone. And I gotta say, I just had to effing do it. But I have to start small. And I'm learning right now to do some things that if I want to do it and no one can be there for me, I just got to do it. I need to learn how to work with that attachment issue of mine. Because one day I want to do a solo trip.
For how long?
I want to do it for a couple days, maybe a week.
I wanted to do a solo trip for a whole year.
Wow. Okay. I'm not sure about a whole year yet. I'm too lonely. But I do want to do like a out of the country. Yeah, international one.
By yourself?
Yeah.
You don't want me along for the ride?
I mean, I still love you too. Maybe you can go with me, but we can have some days where we're like going apart. Yeah.
I like that.
Okay. Yeah, because I have you know her, Pierre. Her.
Yes.
So one of our friends.
Shout out to. Did you just shout out to someone? You just tag someone.
Yeah, I'll tag her. But we know her from like way back then. She went onto a solo trip in Thailand by herself. She didn't know the language. She just went and spoke English, and they understood it. And she went to Chiang Mai. She went down to Phuket. I'm like, girl, you hella awesome.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah, we're tagging you, Panya.
You're an inspiration. Yeah. And I know that you've always wanted to go to Thailand. Oh, actually, you went to Thailand.
I went to Thailand. I did.
But you wanted to go back.
Because
the first trip, what happened?
I went with my parents.
Wah, wah, wah.
It was really fun
Just
with
kidding.
my parents. But I think there would be more fun days without my parents, too. With my friends.
Yeah.
And when Doogie is not broke, let's go, yeah.
Let's go.
You're listening to Girl Cheers. Thank you for sticking with us until the end of the episode. We hope that we made your day happier than it previously was, and you came out of it learning something new.
Unless it's a holiday and everyone should be taking all of their breaks as needed, please join us again the following week at the same time, Pacific Standard Time, for the next episode.
For more information and updates on Girl Cheers, please follow our social media pages on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, all by the name of Girl Cheers.
Or if you would like to become friends with Doogie and I, find us on our Instagram handle at @IaMariaLo and @DoogieChain. Join us in the next episode. We'll be having our very first guest on the show, here to share her expertise in the Hmong fashion industry, talk about the current trends, fashion forecasting, and how Hmong fashion as a whole